Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Creamsicle Chronicle podcast. We are back from a brief hiatus to discuss what was probably the most disappointing game of the year, so good
Yeah,
timing on our part, I guess.
yeah. I mean, hey, that's just how it works. We hate the Bucks, so we're only back when they suck. That's how it goes. No,
Oh,
but
it's
in
how
all
we were
seriousness,
raised. It's not our fault. We're
yeah,
conditioned for pain.
yeah. We see a bad game, we're like, oh, we are back, baby. No, but
Buccaneer football.
yeah, it was a rough week, but we're happy to be back here talking Bucks football. Should be. I say it every time, but hopefully we're back regularly going forward. I know we want it to be. It's just sometimes it's tough with how life goes. So we're figuring it out. But we're here now. We're here to talk about the Lions game, and we're here to talk about the Falcons game coming up in a couple days. So um, I guess the first thing we should talk about is what the heck happened last Sunday, man. What went wrong?
I felt like a lot of things went wrong.
Yeah.
It felt like, one, I want to say the Lions are a very good team. They are probably the third best team in the NFC behind San Francisco and Philly. But the Bucks probably played their worst game of the year against them in terms of Bucks beating the Bucks, unforced errors, missing open throws, bad play calling. This was throwback Byron Leftwich football.
Mm,
I
yeah.
didn't love it.
Yeah, me neither. I really just the whole run until it works thing is really getting old because it's not going to work. We've kind of seen that over the last couple years. Um, no matter how many times you run the ball up the middle, um, nothing's going to change. They're going to get 2, maybe 3 yards. If you're lucky, they get 5 or 6. But uh, it's just and I mean, to be fair to Canales this weekend, the pass game really wasn't going either. I mean, Baker was off, Mike Evans
Mm-hmm.
was off. Um, it was just not a good weekend for anybody, really. So as much as we can sit here and say we wish the play calling was better, it might not have done much good on Sunday.
Yeah, and I want to be clear, the scheme is just as good as we've always felt it was. I mean,
Yes.
Trey Palmer was schemed open with, they utilized his speed. They got him open two open deep shots,
Yep.
and Baker missed them both. He schemed
Mike
open
Evans.
Mike Evans
Yep.
for, third and, what was it, 8, and he dropped a 15-yard first down at the 50-yard line. I mean, that is an execution thing. Those guys were schemed open. That's not a Dave Canales issue. There were Dave Canales issues, but I mean, it felt like if even if one of these aspects, the receivers, got the ball, caught the ball, or Baker hit more open guys, or the play calling was better, or like if any of these had clicked a little bit more, this could have been a very different football game.
Yeah, of course. Football is a very different game if 1 or 2 plays goes the other way. You know, you could say that about any game, but a lot of the times it's that's just how the cookie crumbles. And this was one of those weeks where um, the Lions they're a very well coached team. They don't really mess up, and they were able to capitalize when the Bucks did mess up because um, this is a team that is not as good as it was a couple years ago. We know that. Still a very talented team, but has a lot of young players that make mistakes. A lot of players who are not as um, I mean, Baker Mayfield's not Tom Brady, right? And even last year, we saw Tom Brady struggling to make certain throws, and that just happens every now and then. You got to be like, okay, well, tough one, and they know it was bad. I mean, we were in that locker room. I was up in the press box last week. I was in the locker room after the game, and Rick Stroud from the Tampa Bay Times was asking a question, and Baker kind of just cut him off towards the end. Was like, "We sucked." He was like, "I sucked today. We sucked. Um, we got to be better." He was taking accountability, and they know, and hopefully they will be. But uh, it really just nothing went right.
Well, yeah, you talked about it. A handful of plays really determine any football game.
Mm.
I can point to 2 plays, and if you change the results, the Bucks win that game.
Yep,
I mean, the tipped interception that was 3 points for the Lions and 7 points away from the Bucks because Mike Evans was wide open for a touchdown.
correct. And
So
the
that's
ball
just
was going to him. Couldn't
oh
Baker Mayfield was like, That was a ball to Mike Evans. He would have scored.
And then if Ryan Neal gets his head around to bat down that Williams touchdown, that's 7 points off the board for the Lions. So they just lost 10 points. So they're at 10 for the game. And the Bucks gained 7. They're at 13. So,
and not even the Bucks on offense. 2 of the Lions' touchdowns were on 3rd and long.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get off the field. Like, you cannot allow that to happen. And Todd Bowles said they were coverage breaks. They were busts. But that Ryan Neal one, you got to get your head around. You got to make a play on that football. I mean, you're right there. I get Jameson Williams is fast, but when the ball got to him, you were in his lap.
Right.
And then
Jared Goff threw him a duck on that play.
Yes.
That was underthrown.
Oh, yeah. What was the other one? Was it Jameson Williams again?
No, it was the Amon-Ra St. Brown where he caught it in the middle and ran to the sideline and Carlton Davis got obliterated.
And that probably would have been a field goal because, I mean, they were at like the 25-yard line. But that is not a touchdown. A field goal is not a touchdown, and that's a game changer there.
But if you change those plays, then the Lions only score 6 points, and that's just changing 3 plays in the game.
Correct.
Bucks win 13-6.
Yep. That's how football goes, and that's why people love it. And that's why people hate it. That's just how it is.
Yep. And if your worst day is change 3 plays and you could beat one of the best teams in the NFL, you're a pretty good team. And I still land on the Bucks are a pretty good team. They have to grow to have any chance to make noise in the playoffs. But that's a long ways off. We got to take it week by week at this point. This is a show me team. There's so much to prove for them in every aspect, especially offensively.
I mean, you just throughout the first couple weeks of the season, you can very clearly see the line of demarcation within the NFC. You got teams like the Bears and the Vikings, then you got the Bucks, and the Saints are right below them, and then you got the Lions and then the Eagles. You can already see kind of how it's going to go.
See the tiers separating.
Yep. And that is of course going to happen throughout the season, but what's important is that when the Bucks do play those teams that are around their same tier, same level, they need to beat them, right? And the Lions might be better than the Bucks, but like you said, that was a winnable game. And there is going to be growth. I mean, Baker Mayfield, really his first year, like his first substantial starts since his Browns tenure, probably, right? I mean, Carolina and the Rams last year were not really meaningful, I'd say. Then, I mean, you got a lot of rookies playing a lot of meaningful snaps on this team that are going to grow and continue to get better. I mean, you look at it last season, we were all trashing Luke Gedeke, except one JT Olsen, really, who seemingly had his back from the beginning. And now he's looking like one of the best pass blocking right tackles in the league. I mean, the guy is just killing it. So, you're going to see stuff like that. There are going to be wrinkles. But I say it again, it's a bummer the bye week already came. And Todd Bowles said that might have been some bye week rust, which, I mean, it is what it is. There are conflicting reports from other people who are like, I don't really know. I think we just kind of sucked. But got to figure it out.
Yeah, and you touched on some of those rookies. Some of them are playing key roles. I mean, Cody Mock's been the starting right guard from day one. Yes. He was playing at North Dakota State. That's Division II college.
Yep.
And it's the best Division II college. It is like the Alabama of Division II.
Correct.
But you got to go.
I mean, it's not Division II. It's 1A, but just the FCS.
Right.
Or FBS. I don't know. The lower level.
What used to be called Division II is now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got to think they got to go up a huge level in competition just to get to the MAC.
Yep.
Then the Sun Belt. Then the, ACC. And then
Yep.
It's light years away from the NFL.
Right.
So it will take him some time to progress. And honestly, I think he's way ahead of schedule. I thought he's played very well.
He's been very good. Yeah.
But he's still learning a lot of the nuances of playing guard because he played tackle in college. So there's naturally going to be growth and development. I don't know if it's going to be huge for the rest of the year. I mean, I think we'll probably see a bigger jump next year than we will the remainder of this year. But every week he's going to get a little bit more refined.
I think if there's going to be one player that can really turn it around, not turn it around because they're already playing good football, but turn it up, is Trey Palmer. Wide receiver 3, blazer, and it's very obvious that this offense and Baker Mayfield, they trust him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 touchdown catches already this year, and he could have had 150 yards in that game if Baker gets him the ball.
2 touchdowns, 2 more.
Yeah.
Like, that could have been a very big game for Trey Palmer, but I have a lot of belief that he's going to kind of come alive throughout the season and really show why this team drafted him.
Yeah, and he has to, really. I mean, the passing game can't just be Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They need more from Palmer, and I think they can get it. They need more from Tompkins. They need more from Cade Otton is a big one.
If I'm being honest, they need more from Mike Evans, too.
They do. I mean, when he's hot, and when he's not, he's not. And he's never been the most sure-handed wide receiver in the league. But, that first week against was it against the Vikings where he torched them?
Yeah.
No, it was the Bears he torched.
Yeah.
Like
he torched the Bears.
Yeah, he can carve some of these teams up, and he will carve more teams up. I mean, thinking back to the Panthers game last year where he sealed the division win for us.
Right. And like you said, he's never been like the most sure-handed, but I don't think there's been a season since maybe his sophomore season where it's been this rough so far. It's been not great.
No, you do expect him to play better, and I think he's going to have ups and downs like anyone. Yep. But for a Hall of Fame receiver, it has to be like 90% ups, and we've had an Eagles game and a Lions game where it was not. So you do expect him to step up.
Correct. But that said, there's a pretty important, unless you want to touch on anything else with the Lions.
I want to touch on one more thing from the Lions game.
Absolutely.
90% of this game was negative. Let me highlight my 2 positives because I think there are 2 huge positives.
I have one in my head that is huge. So
okay, you go first because I think one of them is the same. I think we share this one, and then I'll do the other one.
Kalijah Cansey, friggin' stud, man. I mean, we both had our reservations. We were both like, how are they really going to use him? I mean, the guy just wreaks havoc. He is so explosive. He's in the backfield like every play. That's not an exaggeration. Like, it's a pass rep, he's back there.
He had 6 pressures in this game.
Yeah, he's a freak.
If you average that out for the number of games he should have played if he hadn't been hurt, in excluding the bye week, he would lead all rookies in pressures above Jalen Carter, above Will Anderson, and he did this against maybe the best offensive line in football.
Well,
minus a starter.
Also not the Eagles, but yes.
Yeah, but Lions are like right there with the Eagles.
I know he was really giving it to who's their guard?
Glasgow, Graham
Glasgow, and Hill. Is it Hill?
They had a backup on the other spot, and Glasgow's technically a backup, but he's just like a.
Is it Jonah Jackson?
Yeah, but Jonah Jackson was out this game.
Okay, I can remember. The other thing just came into my head. Vita Vea is playing like an All-Pro. Also, the guy kicked Frank Ragnow's butt, who's maybe the second best center in the NFL. So I don't know if that was your other one, but I also just wanted to say that.
It wasn't, but he is playing really, really high-level football.
Yeah.
Like, the Lions have been one of the best rushing teams in the NFL, one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. They dominate with their running game, and Vita Vea is the key reason why they rushed for 40 yards in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I coming into that game, it was they got to make Jared Goff throw the ball, and they got to make him uncomfortable, and they did that. It was just, the offense really struggled. Like the Lions put up the least amount of points they've had all season, the least amount of points they've had in the first half all season, and I think by far the least amount of points they've had in the first quarter all season. I think they're like one of the best first quarter scoring teams in the league. And the Bucs held them to 3 points in the first quarter, which is great. Coming out of that, you're like, oh, this might be pretty good. And then, the rest of the game happened. But there are positives. So what was your other big positive?
Well, you mentioned him earlier. It's Luke Goedeke. I mean,
guy's a stud, man.
He was playing some ball. against Aiden Hutchinson, who led the entire NFL in quarterback pressures coming into that game.
Yeah.
Like, all the Bosas, Max Crosby, TJ Watt, you name them, Aiden Hutchinson had been getting to the quarterback more often.
Yeah.
And Luke Gedeke was on an island with him, and he put Aiden Hutchinson in hell. Like, he was just a brick wall. And even when he got near Baker, Gedeke took him right out of the play. Baker stepped up, exactly what you want the quarterback to do. It was really just a textbook ass kicking.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last year, people were questioning him, and rightfully so. He wasn't playing the best football at times, but the shift to right tackle has been game changing. I mean, you seemingly have, and they need to do their best to keep him around. Your franchise left and right tackle
Bookend
right now, who are both, I think, probably is. I don't know if Gedeke's under 25 years old, but I'm pretty sure Tristan Wirfs is still.
I think Gedeke was a little bit older of a rookie, but I don't think
he definitely
25
was.
or older.
I think Wirfs was like 20 when he was drafted, which is wild. But I mean, that's if you want to talk about helping your team be stable on offense, it starts up front. The game is played in the trenches a lot of the time, and whoever wins the trenches is a lot of the time going to win the game. So if you're able to prevent pressure from the exterior of the defensive line, that is game changing. It's a lot easier to supplement protection from the inside than the outside. And premier pass rushers are coming from the outside. So if you got Gedeke and Wirfs shutting it down on both ends, you got something good, and you need to keep it that way.
Yeah, both are 24. Gedeke is a little bit older. He turns 25 next month. Wirfs turns 25 in January.
I mean, that's how the heck did Tristan Wirfs fall to 13, man? Good Lord. That's what I'm saying.
Becton, he's 400 pounds, and look at him run.
Yeah.
How's that working out?
Tristan Wirfs is functional size, and look at him run. Look at him do anything else, but whatever. I mean, you have to keep him, man. You have to.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got young pieces on the interior too. You got Mock, Hainsey, who am I? I mean, they have Filer. He probably isn't a long-term
Filer, more like filler. Am I right?
That is very correct. That's definitely right. He is 100% a filler. But I mean, if you go out and you get another young guard,
you grab like a Cooper Beebe from Kansas State in the second round.
That's a solid line.
Yeah, that's going to be the key to the Buccaneers' future is on the offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
They just got to figure out left guard and probably center. I'm not super impressed with Hainsey, but
yeah, I mean, he's at least young, and I mean, because Brian Jensen's probably not coming back, which is a bummer. But
yeah, unfortunate situation for all Bucs fans, and especially Ryan Jensen.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing you got to think about is money, obviously, with these, because the tackles are obviously going to get the money. If you pay the two on the outside and you just keep kind of shuffling in and out young guys who are able to just do their job, that's going to be fine. You maybe keep, you can't always shuffle. Like, you got to have some consistency. But if you feel like you're able to find good tackles every 4 years, or good interior offensive linemen every 4 to 5 years, I think that's fine.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can just really kind of rotate them out. I mean, you got your foundation pieces, and you just need role players after that.
Yeah,
go sign a Garrett Bradbury in free agency, and you just kind of piece it together with good, not outstanding players, kind of like a Matt Filer. Preferably a little bit better, but
yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, the only reason I say young players is because towards the end of their contract, if you don't have the money to re-sign them, you might be able to trade them for a little bit and get something out of them. That's just like my draft brain thinking a little bit, and it's probably not even thinking well, but yeah. But those are Kancey, Gedeke, and then all the other things we said are 100% the two of the big positives of that game. I mean, both just young players performing really well. That said, there's a pretty important game this weekend.
Yeah, very important game hosting the Falcons. Falcons are 3-3, Bucks are 3-2, both 1-0 in the division. This is kind of the Bucks' chance to take an early, I don't want to say stranglehold on the division, but they're going to be like 2 games up in the division if they win this week.
Yeah, this puts them firmly in the driver's seat. Is a good way to put it. They can still blow it, but it'd be hard for them to, especially because with how the Panthers are looking, and how the Saints looked last night, it was not great. But this is a game that's gonna be telling. This I said the other just a couple minutes ago. Finding those teams that are around the Bucks level of talent, and how they're playing so far, and you need to beat those teams. And this is one of those situations. I think the Bucks are more talented than the Falcons, but the Falcons are playing some decent football right now. You got to beat the team, especially when it's a division rival and you have the chance to take the lead in the division like this.
Yeah, I don't want to call it a must-win game in Week 7, but this is a team the Bucks should win, and it's a very important game for them.
It feels like a must-win, honestly. I honestly hope Todd Bowles is in that room saying this is a must-win game. I mean, every game's a must-win game if you're in the NFL, but this is one of those that it's extra important,
Yeah, especially after falling flat on your face on a national stage.
Yeah,
you really want to come back and lay it to them.
Right. What are your areas of focus here?
Well, obviously Atlanta, you're talking about shutting down the run game, similar to Detroit. Mm-hmm. Different way they want to run the ball. Detroit's more power and just going to out-muscle you with guys like Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow. Atlanta, all-pro guard like Chris Lindstrom, they want to get out and be a little bit more athletic sideline to sideline. So, again, I think it's going to be a huge factor in this, just the way he moves. I know he's been a little banged up in practice this week, so it's a little bit of a concern. But Kancey as well, I think I expect him to have an even better week this week against, more his size athletes, guys who aren't 335 pounds, and he can just out-athlete guys.
Yeah, I think the linebackers are going to be crucial this week. Like you said, they're going to want to get guys in space. And I don't think there's a better running back in space right now than Bijan Robinson. I mean, that guy is just shifty as you can be. He makes you miss. He breaks tackles. He does it all. Catches. They're going to get him out in space a lot. And Levante David, another player we didn't really talk about, had a hell of a game on Sunday against the Lions. Needs to be on point. Devin White needs to be on point. He needs to fly and wrap up and make sure you don't get juked because he's going to look for it. But those athletic linebackers are going to be, I think, really crucial in limiting how they can damage us on the ground and in the screen game.
Yeah, because when you're going up against a quarterback like Desmond Ridder, you're not as worried about him pushing the ball downfield. Even with weapons like Drake London, who I like, Kyle Pitts, who is a unicorn athlete at tight end, they're not real. They're kind of an afterthought because they don't have the guy who can get them the ball.
Right.
So, those little dink and dunk passes where you dump it off to Bijan or Cordell Patterson or whoever, that's kind of a necessity for them to move the ball down the field.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you see it in their games. I've actually watched a number of Falcons games just because they've been the one on when I changed the channel or something. And it almost seems like their offense runs through Bijan Robinson already.
Sure.
Kyle Pitts isn't getting the attention. Drake London's not getting the attention, to the dismay of many, including myself. But it's just one play doesn't go to Bijan Robinson, the next two will, is almost how it seems. And you're going to need to account for that one way or another. And like you said, the front seven, it's going to be the front line of defense against that.
Yeah, and as good as Bijan has been and as he is, I mean, he went, 8th overall for a reason?
Yeah.
I think this Falcons running game is even a little bit underwhelming compared to what I expected it to be, just because teams can key in on it.
Right. You know what's coming.
Yeah. It has to be Bijan.
Yeah.
So game planning for the Falcons is relatively easy because you can match up with Drake London and Carlton Davis. I mean, that's a favorable matchup for Carlton Davis.
Right.
London's the kind of big body receiver he does really well against. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you take away their star receiver, you commit everything to stopping the running game, and you make Ritter beat you throwing to guys like Malik Holland? No. Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller. Wow, what a pull. I forgot about that.
But those are the guys that have to beat the Bucs this week, and you have to make them be the offense.
Yeah, you do 100%. And another area of the game that I'm going to kind of key in on is the defensive line. Not specifically from a run perspective, but from a pass rush perspective. I want to see how they're able to attack this offensive line, because it's a pretty talented offensive line, and they got to get home. You gotta get some sacks. You know, they have not been coming enough, and they need to start coming.
Yeah, I think another name we didn't really talk about was Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I thought he had a really nice game last week. This is a match I think he can do well in, going against Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry. Those are not premier offensive tackles. Matthews has always been rock solid, but he's getting into his early mid-30s now. You don't know if he's got that same athletic ability.
Strength is definitely on the interior.
Definitely. There might not be a better guard than Chris Lindstrom.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah. There are a couple guys I might argue over him, but I cannot definitively say he's not the best guard in football.
Right. Valley Marpet was still playing. There we go. But
Marpet, I miss him.
Me too.
We knew what we had, but we didn't know we'd be losing him like that.
Yeah, I know. It was tough. But hey, he got us a ring. But hey, I will never forget the pull block he had for that Leonard Fournette touchdown run in the Super Bowl. That was incredible. But
it's better days.
we're getting too far in the past now. We're looking ahead. But yeah, like you said, the interior is really good. The tackles are, one's a little bit long in the tooth, the other's just bad. So we'll see.
You know who I'm really interested to see this weekend?
Yeah.
I really want to see this be a big Logan Hall game.
He's not been great.
Well, we knew that when they drafted him. He was a project, and this is the kind of game I think you want to see him play well.
Right.
Some offensive tackles that aren't great. An athletic offensive line who wants to get you out in space. So him keeping contain is a big thing in this game. So even if he's not making splash plays like a sack or a tackle for loss, just him keeping things in the box, keeping them tight, being disciplined, that's big for him.
And I'm gonna be honest, that's been a struggle for him this season too. I mean, that Saints game, he was getting taken down by tight ends, man. Like, that's bad.
It's not great.
It's not great. So I would love to see a good game from him. I'm holding my breath, but yeah, well, I mean, it would be very well welcomed. That's for sure.
I think this is, if it's not now, then you really got to start to question Logan Hall's future.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
What about the other side of the ball? Bucs offense, Falcons defense. How are you feeling there?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. I don't love this Falcons defense. Their secondary's all right. They got some players back there. But I think you're able to attack it for sure. What about you?
You know what surprised me about this Falcons defense? I was doing some research while I was writing one of my articles today.
Yeah.
They rank as like a top 10 rushing defense. Really? They allow 3.7 yards per carry, which is the same as the Bucs, and they've allowed one rushing touchdown all year. That surprised me with these linebackers in this front seven.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think you could throw out the 32nd ranked rush defense in the league, and they're going to stop the Bucs.
It's
with
not
how
good.
They're looking with the run game right now. But I mean, you're going to have to attack with the pass. That I should have opened with that. That should have been my one statement: is throw the ball because you have to right now.
Right. That does make me a little bit nervous because I think AJ Terrell is really, really good.
He is.
And Jesse Bates is just an incredible ball hawk. He's one of the better safeties.
Very good. Yeah. It's
Jeff
going to be tough.
Okuda maybe
Yeah,
having a redemption season. I think he's been playing
maybe.
well lately from what I've gathered. I haven't
Yeah,
done a super deep dive into Falcons defense,
yeah,
but they, they've got some playmakers in that secondary. It makes me a little bit nervous.
yeah. I mean, anytime you have players with that level of talent, I mean, Jeff Okuda is probably one of the more talented corners just from a traits perspective in the league. Um, like you said, AJ Terrell is one of the better man cover corners in the league, and then Jesse Bates, we all know what he can do. So you're gonna have to pick your battles for sure. But if you're gonna throw the ball, if you're gonna limit how much you're passing, just be creative with the running backs. That's what you got to do. I mean, you can't just say, okay, inside zone, duo, inside zone, duo, duo, inside zone. Like that's not gonna fly. You gotta get him in space. Uh, you gotta. I mean, I don't know if it's just Rashad White missing the holes or if it's the poor run blocking from the offensive line. Um, the interior, you gotta mix it up though. Let him run behind Tristan Wirfs. Let him run behind Gedeke, who I feel comfortably with in space. Like you let Gedeke run, I feel good. You let Tristan Wirfs run on a pull or a lead block, I feel good. The other ones, I'm not sure.
It feels like it's been a little bit of everything this year. The
Yeah,
interior line has struggled a lot of times. I think as a result of that, Rashad White hasn't really trusted what he's been seeing. He hasn't felt confident. I think even when there has been space for White to run, he's
right.
hesitant.
Yes.
And that's just kind of not trusting your line.
And that's also kind of how he is as a runner. He's very patient, which if you do it too much, you can't. Hesitant is right there with it.
Mm-hmm.
Patience and hesitance, they mean different things, but they stem from the same ideas. Is I guess what I'm trying to say is you can think you're being patient, but at the end of the day, you're like, okay, I don't really know what to do, so I'm going to do nothing, right?
Right.
And we don't really know which one's which with Rashad White right now.
Especially with a line that isn't great run blocking. If you're patient and you're waiting for something, the second it does, it can go away. So you got to hit it right away.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the NFL, everyone talks about how much faster it is than any other league of football. And to your point, if there's a hole, go. Like you can't sit there and say, "Oh, but there might be a better one in a second," because a second you're on the ground. There's a defensive lineman grabbing you and pushing you on the ground. You can't afford to take that time. You just gotta. You can when you're getting the ball, keep your eyes up, look for the hole, and you just gotta go.
And the bad thing is, I don't think either one of those things is very fixable at this point in the season.
Yeah,
I
probably not.
mean, I think Mock will develop, but not drastically in season. And
Right.
White is what he is.
Yep. I mean,
So
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think the only way to really improve it is to scheme it open.
Took my words out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was gonna say. You're gonna have to get creative. You're gonna have to start like being weird. I guess is a good way to put it. Is get pulling guards, pulling tackles, pull the center. I don't even care. Pull anyone, push anyone, lead block anyone, catch people off guard. Get Rashad White in space, behind some blockers, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive linemen. Don't really care. Just don't do the same thing because that is eerily similar to what Byron Leftwich did, and it drove me crazy.
You know what play I loved from the Lions game?
I think I know what you're going to say, but let me hear it.
It was they motioned Devin Tompkins into like a yo-yo motion where he ran towards the quarterback and then immediately sprinted back out when the ball was snapped.
Yeah.
And Baker just flipped him the ball, and it was
Yeah.
behind him, so it was technically a pitch.
Yes.
But he just picked up 5-6 yards and set up that 3rd and 1 before the Mike Evans fade.
Yes.
We need more of that. That is a creative way to run the ball that got your speed and elusiveness in space.
Look at you thinking like a smart person because you are one. Supplementing the run with passes is a great way to do it. and screens aren't enough because screens are annoying
Right.
and they're
It doesn't have to
telegraphable.
always be, to pop it out to Godwin.
Yeah, that's
There
stupid.
are a
Yeah.
lot of ways to do it.
Yeah, even just like a speed option, man. Run a college offense for 2 seconds. Run a speed option. Get Baker. We know Baker is a gutsy runner. He'll run the ball. He's willing to do it. And if you just let him hold the ball, like get him on a little loop, have Rashad White right behind him, and if a linebacker crashes at Mayfield, flip it to White. Maybe do that once or twice a game. You don't got to do it too much. Pitches, stuff like the little yo-yo motion, coming in and out, stuff like that. Be a little bit creative. Don't just bash your head against a wall for 60 minutes. Like, man,
You know what dirty thought I was having last night?
yeah.
Man, it would be nice to have a Taysom Hill in this Bucks offense right now.
Oh, don't do that, man.
Watching him score for the Saints, I'm like, man, it would be nice to have a red zone threat like that because we can't do anything running the ball in the red zone right now.
Payne Durham, come
Something.
on down.
Vita
Hey,
via
tied at
direct
3 now.
snap.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they used them once against the Falcons. Maybe they do it again.
They got to do something
They
because
got to do something. Put
it's
Devin
rough.
White
It
at running
really
back.
is.
Played in high school.
Yeah.
Devin White. Yeah.
Oh, V on one side, White on the other, and just let him cook.
That would be so sick. That would be awesome. That would be so fun, but won't happen.
No.
But that would be a lot of fun.
But I'm open-minded to something happening with Canales because he is someone who's open to change. He is someone who is thinking at a higher level than Leftwich. He thinks more analytically.
They tried to run a
Yeah.
trick play, right?
Oh, yeah, he did that, like, reverse pass
Yeah.
with Godwin.
It was pretty obvious, but yeah, it was there. I mean, he tried it, so.
And it wasn't a throw to 45-year-old Tom Brady. So, I mean, that was as much as we got from Leftwich.
That was crazy. That was insane. Yeah, that was wild. I forgot about that, man. Good times. But yeah, creativity's cool. I would love to see more of it.
I think we will, because I don't think we even saw a lot of motion in this past game. And
their Bucks are again among the lowest motion teams in the league.
That's disappointing.
Well, sorry, were that week.
Okay. I was
like
gonna
against
say,
the
I
Lions.
thought they had done a much better job of that overall.
Yeah. My brain's kind of jumbled right now, so I'm just trying to figure it's deciphering, but it was lowest against the Lions. It was like one of the lower percentages.
Yeah, and it was a little surprising coming out of the bye week. You thought, okay, maybe they did some self-scouting, they're going to open up the playbook a little bit more, and It was just the opposite.
Yeah, which is tough, but and maybe they were planning to, but as they saw the game was kind of getting weird and wacky, they were trying to let's just simplify this. Let's get back to the roots. Let's just get some yards, and it just didn't work. So
yeah, get back to fundamentals and clean it up, and coaches think differently than we as fans think.
Of course, yeah. We're not trying to tell them how to do their jobs because they 100% do it better than we would.
Well, some of them.
Yeah, but all we can do here is sit here and say what we think would be better, and if that's the case, it is. If it's not, it's not.
All right. So, do you want to move into a couple of bold predictions for this game?
Let's do it.
All right. You got any cooked, or do you want me to go first?
Go first.
All right. I am predicting a pair of interceptions for the Bucs defense. I'm going with Levante David and Antoine Winfield. Both get their first of the year against Desmond Ridder, who has thrown more interceptions than all but 3 quarterbacks in the NFL this year.
Look at that. Going with the tried and true. He had it earlier in the year, I'm pretty sure. Didn't Joe Tryon-Shank have 2 sacks?
He did.
He did. And I didn't predict it. So I'm gonna keep doing it, which is a huge bummer. But
he had one last week, so he's on fire. He's one away from his career high.
Yeah, he's having a good season so far. But yeah, Joe Tryon-Shank had 2 sacks. Sticking with it.
All right. I am going to predict Cade Otton gets his first touchdown of the year.
Love it.
I think it's
Would
been
love to see more Otton usage.
Yeah, it's been really disappointing for him this year. I have not been impressed with what he's done.
Yeah.
We know he has talent. And this is an offense that features tight end more than the Leftwich Arians offense. So you
Yep.
really expect him to be better.
Yep.
I think this is the year he kind of cracks and breaks through a little bit.
I was gonna similar thinking with tight end, but I was gonna say Payne Durham gets his first career touchdown. Recently moved up to tight end 3 on the depth chart. Todd Bowles has spoken about how much they like him as a red zone threat. So I think one's coming down the pipe. Don't know how long, but I'll say it's this week.
I want that to be true because I think Payne Durham getting a touchdown would be cool.
Yep.
I also kind of don't want it to be true because I want to go to Kate Otten because I think with his next touchdown, he might tie or pass Kyle Pitts for career touchdowns.
That's funny.
I just love
Is that true? Because Kyle Pitts did score a touchdown last week.
I'm trying. He's got 4 career touchdowns, so it's close to being true. I don't know if
So
I gotta.
Falcons, throw him the ball, man. Good Lord.
This is year 3 for Pitts.
Yeah.
He's almost averaging a touchdown a year, which is a little over.
All right. What's your last? What's your third?
One more
prediction?
touchdown would. Oh, Kate Otten had a touchdown this year. I forgot that.
Yeah.
So one more touchdown would tie Kyle Pitts' career touchdowns.
Gotcha.
All right. So one more. I'm going to say someone other than Rachaad White gets a rushing touchdown.
Edmonds is coming back, right? Or he was at least practicing.
I don't think he's back.
Okay. So not this week, maybe, but okay. Does Baker Mayfield count?
I'm counting him. It's Rachaad White versus the field.
All right. My third and final one is, let's see. The Buccaneers defense holds Bijan Robinson to under 75 total yards.
Oh, I like that. That's a bold one, but I can see that.
I can see a path to it, but I can also see a path of like Devin White reverting to last year and just biting on every fake move and giving up 50 yards on one play.
That's something we haven't talked about. Devin White has played extremely disciplined football this year.
Yeah, he's been playing some good ball for sure. Like playoff run level football for Devin White so far. He's been playing great.
Yeah, and I think back to that Saints game where they held Alvin Kamara to like 8 catches for ooh, excuse me, puberty just hit. But it was like 8 catches for 45 yards or something. They kept trying to go to that Alvin Kamara well, but he was getting nothing.
Right. Yeah, that one feels really bold to me, but I like it. I think it could definitely happen, as much as it won't happen. But hey, that's what they play the game for. I will be up in the press box on Sunday. Follow me on Twitter at NFL Ballard for live game updates and post game articles on Sports Talk Florida and Bucks Report. JT always putting out articles on Bucks Report, does a great job there. Is there anything else you want to add?
You want to do some score predictions?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Sorry guys, had to wake up really early for work. Out of it. Here, I'll go first. Buccaneers 35, Falcons 17.
I like that. I like that 17 number for the Falcons. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to say 27-17 Bucks with a defensive touchdown.
Ooh, I'm expecting a complete turnaround from the Lions game.
Yeah, this is a big bounce back spot.
Yeah.
Division game, your revenge game, because you embarrassed yourself last week in the Creamsicles.
Yep.
This is a Baker Mayfield FU spot.
Those jerseys look so good in person.
So good.
Like they pop. The press box was handing out Creamsicle, like the popsicles. Great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. The stadium had them too, but it was a great time. It was a very, very cool event to be in. The vibe of the stadium was really cool with like the graphics and all the stuff around it. But hopefully they can get a win in them next time. When's the next one?
Next year, they're once a year.
Oh, it's once. I thought it was twice. No
I
way.
think it's year. This was our only Creamsicle game on the schedule.
Are you serious? Let me.
I know it, and you're right. They not only in person, they looked great on TV. I loved watching this game, except
Yeah,
for the actual football being played.
of course, of course. Is it really only one?
I think it is.
Lions Creamsicle. Yeah, it is. That's so upsetting.
I know, because it was everything I wanted
They
it
need
to
to
be
change
in terms of the visual appeal.
Yeah, it was sick, but man, they got to make it at least 2. They got to, man. But all right, y'all. I think that is going to do it for this rendition of the Creamsicle Chronicles podcast. Hopefully, back with some uniformity in the future. We love doing it, and even if our schedules aren't really working out, we'll come back at some point. Uh, hopefully, you're following along with us every week. We appreciate y'all watching, and as always, go Bucks.
Go Bucks.